Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. This week, we have Cathy Cummings with us, who is running for Commissioner for District 3 in Oklahoma County, and she is my interview this week on Across the Desk. Real quick, before we get started, if you like the content of this channel, the best way you can support it is to go down here to the little blue tile and click subscribe. Subscribing is really the best way you can support the work I do. Also, go to my website at kitfairchild.com, where you will find information to other merchandise like my book 10 Lessons of Conservative Cowardice, as well as other videos out on YouTube. On with the show. Hi, Cathy.
Hi.
First, I'd like to say thank you for coming to the show. I know how busy you are out there campaigning and everything, so it really means a lot to me that you would appear and come on and we can get you out to the audience about what you've been doing and where you're going with things.
We've been doing lots, and I appreciate you having me on, Kit. Really, your interviews are superb, so I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks. So, you're running for County Commissioner,
Yep.
District 3, Oklahoma County.
Mm-hmm.
How's
It
that
is a
going?
big county, too. I mean, it's huge. So, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the enormity of the district. So, we are literally the entirety of Edmond, so and then other places as well. So we are all the way west to County Line Road.
Okay.
We're all the way east to Luther, and then like a little square of Jones. All the way north to Waterloo, and then it kind of starts on the south side, right around 122nd, and then it kind of curves around a little bit. So there's a little bit of Hefner Road, and then there's a little bit over by MacArthur where it goes to Britton Road. So it's huge.
So, and how's the campaign going so far?
It's going so good. So right now, I think we have hit around close to 40,000 doors.
Oh, wow.
Actual door knocking.
That is a lot of doors.
It is a lot of doors.
That's great.
It is a lot of doors, and I think that, to me, is the best way to reach out to a voter.
Exactly.
You can, call people, you can, but if you shake their hand and you're asking for their vote, it makes a difference.
That's what I always hear in a lot of training stuff that I've been to and everything else, going back to when Colin Walkie first ran.
Right.
In District
I knocked doors for him.
Me too.
Yes.
And that's one thing we said, hey, you can send out all the flyers you want, you can do everything, but really there's nothing like going and meeting somebody, shaking their hand and saying, hi, I'm Kit Fairchild, I'm representing this. Would you vote? There's nothing works better.
And can I have your vote?
Yes.
You always ask for their vote. And it's real important, and they so appreciate you taking the time, especially when it's 100 degrees outside and you have sweat pouring down you. And I've been invited into homes where people have offered me, a cold drink, and it's been wonderful.
Oh, that's good.
It's a great experience.
And the volunteers, have they been
volunteers.
showing up?
Oh my gosh, I've got a group of really great volunteers. I've got a real core group of people that they go out every day.
All right.
Yeah, and we're trying to hit like 100 doors a day, which is
that's awesome.
Yes,
that's really outworking your opponent.
Right.
I mean, I think you really are, because
I hope so.
When I look up what the other guy's doing, it doesn't look like they're doing as much. I think they are hitting some events, but I don't know that they're knocking as many doors.
Yeah, and I try not to worry about what the other person is doing so much. I'm just worrying about my my campaign, what I can do, and work the hardest that I can.
That's really a good way to win at almost anything. And I can go on forever, but anyway, that's it. Yeah, worry about what you're doing, not the other guy so much, and you're going to be fine.
And it's completely different for when I knocked doors, when I got on the county, or got on the city council in the village.
Okay.
It's night and day difference. I could cover the whole entire city in one day or 2 days.
And so this is really born out of a lot of that, your city experience with the village. You were a council person and the mayor at one point.
Yeah, city councilwoman, vice mayor, mayor, and it was the greatest experience.
How many years were you involved in that?
About 6 years, until I had to step down because of the redistricting.
Oh yeah.
So then, when they did the redistricting, they literally took my entire city out of my district.
Oh wow.
So I didn't leave District 3. District 3 left me.
Exactly.
So I had to move in order to keep on running.
Oh wow.
And and I kind of think that they tried to get me to not run because of that, but I don't think they knew me well enough, because when I hit an obstacle, I just work harder. You know, that's just my work ethic.
They definitely meant to hobble your campaign.
I think so, but I'm not gonna. That's old news.
I think because you scared them, definitely.
Well, good.
Because, well, you ran for lieutenant governor.
I
did.
You've
got this nice political profile in the state of Oklahoma, and a lot of people know you, and a lot of people support what you do.
That's what I'm counting on. That's what I'm counting on for this race.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was really ugly. I, of course, did a show myself about the ugly gerrymandering in Oklahoma County and how they did that. It was so
a lot of candidates are going through that right now. But like I said, it's old news. You know, when I got on the city council, it was such a great opportunity for me personally, because when I moved to the village, my kids were all little. We have 5 kids, my husband, Sean, and I. And they were little. All 5 of them were under 12 years old. And, you know, there was nothing for them to do.
Yeah.
The village at that time, 22 years ago, was it was all elderly. There were no kids on the block to play with. And I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, we had 50 kids on our block. Oh, wow. And we just didn't have that. And the village is such a great neighborhood, but it was neglected, I thought. And so when I got on the city council, I go, okay, here's my opportunity to give to get more families to move in, more kids. And the way to do that was make it family friendly and community friendly. And so that was my goal. You know, we have 6 parks in the village and they were all neglected. And so when I got on the council, it's like, we need to redo all our parks, which we did. We passed a bond and fixed up every single one of our parks. Now we have some that are specific to handicapped children or geared toward infants or older kids. We have a little skate park and basketball goals, tennis courts. I mean, it's wonderful, and every park has a different theme. And then we did miles and miles of sidewalks where we actually connected every park to the sidewalk. So you can go to any park within the whole entirety of the village. Crosswalks. You know, we never had crosswalks when my kids were little. And my oldest, who was 12 at the time, had to take all 5 kids and cross Hefner Road to get to the lighthouse swimming pool. Yeah. And so it was dangerous. Yeah. You know, there was really nowhere for them to play with. We had that Sunset School. It was an abandoned school. So they played in the abandoned schoolyard. There was like a tether ball, like barely hanging on a string. And, you know, so I wanted to make sure there was an improvement just on the quality of life alone, but a sense of community. And so we started, I started putting on events. We had, you know, Easter egg hunts. We put on concerts. We did movies in the park. Anything that brought the whole neighborhood together.
Community together, the families.
Yeah.
And how can you take what you did at the village like that and apply it to county commissioner?
So besides all of the amenities, I guess, you know, working with our first responders. We have an amazing village fire department and an amazing village police department. Public Works and our city staff, they're all so wonderful. And so my first meeting where we actually had to balance the budget, multi-million-dollar budget, and you have to figure out, it's almost like putting the pieces of the puzzle together, you know, giving people what they want or what they need actually, and kind of what they want. But so, for example, it was, I think, probably the best experience I had when I first started was the fire department needed a Jaws of Life. We didn't have one. Ours was broken, and they're really expensive. Yeah. And I don't know if you know this or not, but we have an agreement with Nichols Hills, and we literally assist each other on every fire and police call or medical emergency. And it's wonderful to have them. But we had to borrow Nichols Hills' Jaws of Life. Oh, wow. And so they wanted one. And, you know, and the first thing, one of the other councilmen said, well, we can't afford it. And I called him, and this isn't very respectful, but I called him a cheap ass, and I meant it. Yeah. Because what are you going to do if his mom is in a very serious car accident, and they have to say, oh, excuse me, we're going to be right with you. We're going to wait for Nichols Hills to come and bring their Jaws of Life. Yeah. We need that. It's a life-saving emergency piece of equipment, and we got it. You know, I think I persuaded him to vote for it. So anyway, that was experience with the mayor. And having all of that experience, passing the budgets, getting the bids for projects, working with road crews and all of that, I think it is kind of the natural progression into county commissioner. Okay,
and so when it comes to why you're running, these are the community,
quality of life. Being accessible So when I was on the council, everyone had my cell phone number. If they know they could call me at a moment's notice. I didn't care what time of day or night it was, and if they needed help, I would figure out how to get them help. And I think that would carry over to the county. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I could give my cell phone to 250,000 people, but I would be easily accessible. And I think that was one of the things I loved about Willa Johnson so much, because she was that county commissioner that got in her car and drove to wherever she was needed. Yeah, and I want to do that same thing.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And having town halls, I think giving people access to me, mm-hmm. By having town halls throughout the district. It could be in Edmond, it can be in Luther, mm-hmm. it could be anywhere, Arcadia. But I want people to be able to approach me to tell me what's on their mind and what I can do to make their lives better.
Awesome.
Safer roads, I mean, that's huge.
Safer roads.
Yes. So I don't know if you're familiar with County Line Road, kind of around 164th going north to maybe like 180 something or 190th. So that stretch of roads, it's right on the border. Canadian County is to the west, and then Oklahoma County. And the potholes, I can fit my entire body into some of those potholes. And I've got pictures if you want to edit maybe a couple of those in, which I can do that.
You can do that.
And I mean, we saw Jeeps, and they were literally just like up and down and up and down.
Oh, wow.
But can you imagine a single mom driving those streets, and that's her only car, mode of transportation, and she bottoms out, and how's she going to pay to fix her car?
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, there's things like that we have to be aware of.
Yeah.
And,
well, how does urban sprawl affect that as well? I mean, have you thought much about that?
So what do you mean, like
urban sprawl? Oklahoma City has a lot of urban sprawl.
Right.
Where we've grown out to places instead of up, we've grown out. So now you've got a lot more roads and infrastructure to take care of.
True, but there's a lot more, a lot more unincorporated areas, and there's a lot more distance between some of the homes.
Yeah.
But then you go to right in the city of Edmond, and it's just tight. It's like there is nowhere to go.
Yeah.
But I think they're kind of feeling that crunch right now because they're trying to build another school.
Oh yeah.
They're growing leaps and bounds.
I know it.
So parts of it, there's pockets. It's more like pockets in the city that have that sprawl.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to county commissioners and all this stuff, something that's been really big in the news this year, probably for the last few years.
Has it been in the news lately? Has the county been in the news?
Yeah, it has to do with that jail.
Yeah.
And
it's been in the news once or twice.
Yeah, exactly, and it hasn't been good news.
No.
No, and when you see national news on, hey, oh my gosh, Mississippi, they had 7 people die in a jail. They had to get the feds to take over, and you're like, wait a minute. We have one every 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Way more than them. Why aren't the feds involved here? What?
They were here.
They were here.
They were here, and we haven't read their final report yet. But they gave them a few days' notice that they were coming.
Okay.
And so when you have company over and you clean your house and you scrub it top to bottom, I'm sure that a little bit of that happened. But there's no denying the fact that the deaths have happened, and they're tragic, and every single one of them means something to someone, a loved one, and the fact that either they're from a fentanyl overdose or whatever the cause, the suicide rate.
Poor training of everybody, the high turnover because it leads to more poor training.
Right. So, the thing about the jail is it's 40% of our budget.
Yeah.
And which is huge.
Huge.
But we have this jail trust.
Yeah.
And what the county commissioners did was they gave over their power to the jail trust. And the county commissioners give them roughly $3 million a month to put into the jail. And I get payroll or labor or whatever it's for. And I don't think they're doing a very good job.
Obviously not.
And I think it's a management issue.
How transparent have they been on all this too? Have they been at all?
No. Have you ever tried to call the jail trust? There's no phone. There's no phone number.
I've tried to go to a meeting once that was to be announced.
Yeah.
They never mentioned
where
it was
there is no phone number. I mean, you cannot get a hold of them. But my point is, there's nobody on that jail trust with any jail experience or anything that's there's no one that has training in food
hospitality
service
or anything.
Right. I'm a food person.
Yeah.
They didn't ask me, or they didn't ask a caterer, or they didn't ask industrial.
They have actual degrees for people in business that want to do hotel management.
Right.
They actually have specific training for this.
Absolutely.
Somebody like that even know. Right?
Just let's figure out a way to get some competent people in there that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So you talk about food service. There's a 40-page health department report about how filthy the jail is. It's filthy. It's unsanitary. Bed bugs, infestations, rodents, moldy food on the trays.
The foodborne illnesses?
Foodborne illnesses, and just filth on the walls. There was a cleaning crew that gave them a bid to clean the whole entire jail. And they were an industrial service that did antibacterial, whatever it was, that could clean the top to bottom.
Yeah.
And they didn't take them up on it.
Really?
And that was back when they had the COVID money. And no,
that's back when they had it.
They didn't hire anybody, is my point.
What are they doing with the money, I wonder?
I have no idea.
No one knows.
Nobody knows. I do know they did an HVAC overhaul, and they fixed some of the plumbing, but the problems of the filth are still there. And the people, the inmates, detainees, however you want to call them, have to buy their own cleaning supplies to clean their own cells.
Oh, wow. That's not right.
No, there's a ward in the hospital floor. It's like the 13th floor is the hospital floor, and there's 3 pregnant women in a cell, and there's only room for 2 of them, so one of them has to sleep on the floor, and she's just eaten alive. Nearly 9 months pregnant, and she's nearly eaten alive with bed bugs.
Oh,
the stories, the horror stories are endless.
Hey everybody, Kit Fairchild with Across the Desk. Well, I have something special for Across the Desk viewers. If you go to barnesandnoble.com, bn.com, and you type in 10 Lessons of Conservative Cowardice, go to the book page, the book I wrote, click buy, go to the shopping cart, and down in the activation code put BNP for Barnes & Noble Promotion, ATD across the desk, 25 for 25%, and you'll get 25% off the list price of the book. Right now, for the next year, if you're an Across the Desk viewer, go to Barnes & Noble, go to 10 Lessons of Conservative Cowardice, buy the book, in the shopping cart put BNP ATD 25 and get 25% off the book.
If anybody wants to support my campaign or learn more about my campaign, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Vote for Cathy. You can find anything you need to find out about that. You can send me messages, you can email me. Any way you want to get a hold of me would be great. I'd be so happy to answer any questions. But I think the main thing is we need to give everybody a voice at the county. Everyone's voice matters. Whether I want to hear it or not, it still matters.
All right. Well, thank you, Cathy, so much. What a great interview.
Thank you.
You did great. You just went off on everything we wanted to discuss
and
get out there to everybody. So we did good.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. This is Across the Desk, Cathy Cummings, and we'll see you guys next week.